The bottle of cough syrup cost exactly $14.50. It was a small red bottle, sitting on a shelf in a drugstore where the lights flickered and the floor smelled of bleach. To most people, it was loose change. To Nia, 10 years old and shivering in a coat 3 sizes too big, it was a fortune she didn't have. She knew that thieves went to hell. Her grandmother said it every Sunday. But the white boy hiding in the cardboard box down the alley was dying. He was burning up, shaking so hard his teeth rattled like dice. Nia made a choice. If saving him meant burning in hell, she would strike the match herself. She shoved the bottle into her pocket. She ran. She didn't look back at the shouting clerk. She just ran until her lungs burned. That stolen medicine saved his life. And when the fever broke, Nia gave him her only treasure, a cheap, scratched blue plastic dolphin from a gumball machine. "Dolphins don't drown," she told him, tying it to his wrist with a dirty string. "This will keep you safe." He promised to pay her back when he was rich. Then he disappeared. 25 years vanished into the gray static of time. The boy in the box became Dr. Elias Thorne, the man who held human hearts in his hands. The surgeon who played God in sterile rooms. He spent a decade searching for the girl who saved him. He hired detectives. He scoured records. He found nothing. Nia was a ghost. Tonight, he would walk into the lobby of his world-famous hospital. Nia would be there, screaming, dragged by security, clutching a dying boy of her own. Neither knew that the debt incurred 25 years ago was about to come due, and the interest was life or death. Dr. Elias Thorne woke at 4:30 a.m. The alarm didn't ring. He always woke 1 minute before it could. Control. It was the only thing that mattered. His penthouse on the 80th floor was silent, a silence that cost $25 million. Floor-to-ceiling windows showed the city of Manhattan stretched out like a circuit board of gold and diamonds. He didn't look. He never did. The sunrise painted the East River purple. He didn't care. He walked to the bathroom, the heated marble floors warm against his bare feet. He looked in the mirror. 35 years old. Sharp jaw. Eyes the color of ice. Not a single gray hair. But the eyes were dead. They were the eyes of a man who had seen inside the human chest cavity 5,000 times and found only muscle and pump, never a soul. He dressed in silence. A charcoal bespoke suit, the fabric woven from wool so fine it felt like water. He tied his tie, a perfect Windsor knot, symmetrical, sharp. On his wrist, he clasped a Patek Philippe watch worth more than the house he grew up in. It ticked softly, the heartbeat of his success. He walked to his kitchen, a chrome and black marble expanse that had never seen a home-cooked meal. His espresso machine, a custom Italian build worth $7,000, hissed. He drank the coffee black, standing up, staring at the empty white wall. No photos, no family, no friends, just the work. The work was the only thing that didn't leave you. He walked to his wall safe behind a painting. He spun the dial. Inside, there were stacks of cash, passports, gold, but Elias ignored them. He reached for a small velvet pouch in the back. He opened it. Inside was a piece of cheap blue plastic, a dolphin charm, scratched, faded, worthless trash. But Elias never performed his surgery without touching it. It was his anchor, his secret, the only evidence that he had once been human. He ran his thumb over the jagged plastic fin. 25 years old. The edges were worn smooth. "Where are you?" he whispered to the empty room. The room didn't answer. It never did. The drive to the hospital was smooth, insulated by bulletproof glass. The rain streaked the windows, blurring the world outside. Rain always made him uneasy. It smelled like wet cardboard. It smelled like the alley. He pushed the memory down, locking it in the mental box where he kept the starving boy. He was Dr. Thorne now. The ghost boy was dead. The hospital lobby, was a cathedral of glass and light. A massive donor wall displayed names etched in gold. Thorne's name was at the top. As he walked through the automatic doors, the atmosphere shifted. Nurses straightened their scrubs. Interns stopped talking. He walked with a stride that commanded the air around him. He was a god here. He approached the elevators, his mind already visualizing the first surgery of the day. A senator's daughter, hypoplastic left heart syndrome, a prestigious case. Then, the scream shattered the reverence. "Please, you have to help him. He can't breathe." Elias stopped. He didn't turn. He hated disturbances. Chaos was the enemy of precision. "Ma'am, you cannot be back here," a security guard's voice boomed. "You need to go to the public clinic on 4th Street. This is the private wing. The clinic sent me here. They said he needs a specialist. They said he needs Thorne." The name cut through Elias's indifference. He turned slowly. Near the reception desk, a chaotic scene was unfolding. 2 large security guards were grappling with a woman. She was small, dressed in a faded yellow waitress uniform. Her hair was messy, wet from the rain. In her arms, she clutched a boy, maybe 7 years old. The boy was limp. His skin was a terrifying shade of gray-blue. His lips were purple. He was gasping, fighting for every thimble of air. Elias watched, analyzing the boy from 20 feet away. Cyanosis, retractions, failing heart. He is less than 2 hours. "Get him out of here," the head of security barked, reaching for the woman's arm. "No, please." The woman fought with the strength of a mother cornered. She spun around, her eyes scanning the lobby, wild and desperate. Her gaze locked onto Elias. She didn't know him. She saw the expensive suit, the way the staff looked at him. She saw power. "Ew," she screamed, breaking free from the guard and rushing toward him. "Are you a doctor? Look at my son. Look at him." The guards tackled her before she got within 5 feet of Elias. She hit the floor hard, wrapping her body around the boy to protect him. The sound of her knees hitting the marble echoed. "Please," she sobbed in the polished floor tiles. "I don't have insurance. I don't have money, but I'll work. I'll clean your floors for the rest of my life. Just save him. His name is Marcus. Please." Elias stood over her. His face was a mask of granite. He looked at his watch. The senator was waiting. "This is a private facility," he said, his voice smooth and cold. "We do not accept pro bono cases without board approval. Take him to county." "He doesn't have time for county." The woman looked up. Her eyes were dark, deep, filled with a pain so raw it felt like a physical blow. "He's all I have." "Remove her," Elias said to the guards. He turned his back. "No, no." The guards dragged her up. As they pulled her toward the exit, the boy's arm dangled loose. Something slid off the boy's wrist. It hit the floor. Click. Spin. It skittered across the marble. It spun, making a tiny plastic sound, and came to rest right at the toe of Elias's $2,000 Oxford shoe. Elias looked down, annoyed by the litter. He prepared to step over it. Then he saw it. It was a cheap plastic bracelet, woven from dirty blue nylon string, and hanging from it was a charm. A blue plastic dolphin, scratched, faded, identical to the one in his pocket. The world stopped. The sounds of the hospital, the paging system, the murmurs, the rain against the glass, vanished. All Elias could hear was the blood rushing in his ears like a roaring river. He stared at the blue dolphin. He couldn't breathe. His hand flew to his own chest, pressing against the hidden pocket. "It's impossible." He looked up. The guards were pushing the woman out into the rain. The woman was fighting, looking back, her face twisted in agony. And in that moment, the expensive suit, the millions of dollars, the 25 years of ice, it all cracked. He didn't see a waitress. He saw a 10-year-old girl in a dirty gray coat, standing in the snow, holding out a stolen bottle of medicine. He saw Nia. "Stop!" The command tore out of his throat. It was a roar. It shook the walls. The receptionist dropped her phone. The security guards froze at the door. Elias ran. The great Dr. Thorne, who never ran, who never sweated, sprinted across the lobby. He slid on the marble, dropping to his knees beside the plastic charm. He picked it up. His hands, usually steady enough to suture a vein the width of a hair, were shaking violently. He turned the dolphin over. There, scratched into the cheap plastic with a safety pin, were two tiny letters, E and N, Elias and Nia. He looked at the woman at the door. She was staring at him, confused, terrified, holding her dying son. "Nia," he whispered. The name felt like broken glass in his throat. She blinked, wiping rain from her eyes. "How? How do you know my name?" Elias stood up. He didn't answer. He walked toward her, slowly now, like he was approaching a bomb. He looked at the boy in her arms. The boy had the same nose as her, the same chin, and he was dying. "Give him to me," Elias said. "What?" Nia pulled the boy closer. "Don't touch him. Give him to me." Elias didn't wait. He reached out and took the limp body of the boy from her arms. He felt the weak, thready pulse. Code blue in the lobby. Elias roared, his voice shaking the glass walls. "I need a gurney. I need oxygen. Prep or one. Now." Dr. Thorne, the head nurse, ran over, looking pale. "But the senator's daughter, she's prepped." "Bump her," Elias snarled, his eyes burning with a fire no one had ever seen. "This boy is the priority. If anyone argues, tell them I quit." "Move." The team scrambled. They loaded Marcus onto a gurney. Elias jumped on top of it, starting chest compressions himself as they wheeled him toward the trauma elevators. He looked back once. Nia was standing there, shivering, soaking wet, stunned. "Bring her," Elias commanded the security guard. "Treat her like royalty. If she is cold, give her a coat. If she is hungry, feed her. If anyone touches her, they answer to me." The elevator doors closed, sealing Elias in with the dying boy. He looked down at Marcus's face. He looked at the plastic dolphin still clutched in the boy's hand. "I got you," he thought, tears finally spilling over his perfect charcoal suit. "I got you, little sparrow, just like she got me." The flashback hit him as the elevator rose. It wasn't a memory, it was a transportation. The smell of antiseptic faded, replaced by the smell of mold, wet dog, and sickness. 1998, the Stacks. It was a place where hope went to die. A cluster of condemned row houses on the edge of the city, ruled by rats and winter. Elias was 10 years old. He was skin and bone, a ghost in a dirty t-shirt. His mother had left 2 weeks ago. The food had run out, and then the sickness came. It started as a cough, then the fever spike. 104 degrees. Elias lay on a pile of old newspapers, shivering so hard his teeth cracked together. He was hallucinating, dying. Outside, the snow was falling. Heavy gray sludge. Nia lived 3 doors down. She was the watcher. Small, fast, invisible. She had been watching the ghost boy. She hadn't seen him in 3 days. She walked to his door, pushed it open. The smell hit her. Sickness. Ghost boy. She found him curled in a ball. "You're burning up," she said. "No money," Elias mumbled. "Just let me sleep." "If you sleep, you won't wake up," Nia said fiercely. She ran 2 miles to the drugstore. The clerk glared. "Buy something or get out." Nia saw the bottle. Cold and flu. Price, $14.50. It was life. She had 25 cents. She grabbed the bottle. She shoved it into her coat. She turned to the door. "Hey, you!" the clerk shouted. Nia bolted. She ran into the snow. Sirens wailed. She didn't stop until she burst back into Elias's house. "Drink," she commanded. Elias drank. The thick red syrup coated his throat. Nia sat with him all night. She held his hand. Around 3 a.m., the fever broke. Elias opened his eyes. "You came back," he whispered. "I promised," Nia said. She reached into her pocket, pulled out a blue plastic dolphin. She snapped the bracelet in half, tied it to his wrist. "Here," she said. "It's a charm. Dolphins don't drown." Elias looked at it. "I'll pay you back," he whispered. "When I'm rich." "You better," Nia smiled. It was the last time he saw her smile for 25 years. Operating Room 1 was a spaceship of chrome and light. It was the most advanced surgical theater in the country, usually reserved for senators and oil tycoons. Today, it held a 7-year-old boy whose shoes were held together with duct tape. Dr. Elias Thorne stood over the table. He was a machine. No checking, no hosetashchen. He looked at the boy's chest. He looked at the cheap plastic dolphin still tied to the boy's thin wrist. Elias reached out and gently untied it. He placed it on the sterile metal tray next to his scalpel. "Nurse," he said, his voice terrifyingly calm. "Guard this with your life." The surgery took 6 hours. It was a war. Marcus's heart was a mess of defects, a puzzle that only Elias could solve. The team watched in awe. They had seen Thorne operate 1,000 times, but never like this. He wasn't just fixing a pump. He was painting a masterpiece. He moved faster than thought, suturing arteries, reshaping valves. At 2 p.m., he stepped back. The monitor beeped. Beep, beep, beep. Strong, steady, the rhythm of life. Closing, Elias whispered. He peeled off his gloves. His hands were trembling now, not from fatigue, from relief. He picked up the plastic dolphin from the tray and put it in his pocket, right next to his own. Meanwhile, Nia sat in the VIP waiting room. It was a place of soft leather sofas, abstract art, and silence. She looked like a stain in the perfect room. Her uniform was still damp. Her hands were shaking. She expected the police to burst in any second. She expected a bill for $1 million. Instead, a nurse walked in carrying a silver tray. Hot tea, sandwiches, a warm cashmere blanket. "Dr. Thorne ordered this for you," the nurse said gently. Nia stared at the food. "Why?" she whispered. "I can't pay for this." The nurse smiled, a sad, confused smile. "He said you paid a long time ago." Nia didn't eat. She couldn't. She paced the room, clutching her elbows. She thought about the man in the lobby, the suit, the cold eyes, the way he looked at the dolphin charm. How? She hadn't told anyone about the charm. It was her secret with Marcus, a silly family tradition born from poverty. Dolphins don't drown. The double doors swung open. Elias walked in. He had changed out of his scrubs back into his charcoal suit. He looked perfect, untouched except for his eyes. They were red. Nia froze. She stopped breathing. She searched his face for bad news. "He's alive," Elias said. The words hung in the air. "He's gonna be fine, Nia. His heart is strong." Nia's knees gave out. She collapsed onto the expensive carpet, sobbing. Great, heaving sobs that shook her small body. "Thank you," she choked out. "Thank you. I'll work it off. I promise. I have 2 jobs. I'll sign whatever papers you want." Elias walked across the room. He knelt down in front of her. He didn't care about the creases in his $5,000 pants. "You don't need to sign anything." "But the surgery." Nia looked up, tears streaming down her face. "They said it costs hundreds of thousands." "It costs $250,000, Elias said softly. "But the bill is already settled." Nia shook her head, confused. "I don't understand." Elias reached into his pocket. He pulled out his hand. He opened his fist. Sitting in his palm were 2 blue plastic dolphins. One was clean, belonging to Marcus. The other was old, scratched, the plastic turned white at the edges. Nia stared. The world tilted on its axis. She reached out a trembling finger and touched the old one. She saw the scratch marks. E and N, she gasped. The sound was sharp, painful. She looked from the plastic toy to the face of the man in front of her. She looked past the expensive haircut, past the cold blue eyes of the surgeon, and suddenly she saw him. She saw the ghost boy in the corner of the room, the boy shivering under the newspapers. "Elias?" she whispered. "Ghost boy." Elias nodded. A single tear tracked through the stubble on his cheek. "You saved my life for $14.50, Nia. I figured. I owed you a little interest." Nia covered her mouth. "I thought you were dead. You disappeared. They put me in foster care," Elias said. His voice was thick. "I tried to come back. I ran away 3 times to find you. But by the time I got back to the stacks, your house was boarded up. They said you were gone." "We got evicted," Nia said, wiping her eyes. "My grandmother died. We lost everything. I looked for you," Elias said intensely. He grabbed her hands, his surgeon hands holding her rough, working hands. "For 10 years, Nia, I looked for you in every face. I became a doctor because I wanted to be the person you were to me. I wanted to save people who had no one. You did." Nia smiled through her tears. "You saved Marcus." "Marcus," Elias repeated. He looked at the 2 dolphins. "He's a brave kid. He held on to this charm right until the anesthesia knocked him out. He believes in magic," Nia said. "Like his mom." Elias closed his hand over the charms. "Come with me. I want to show you something." "Where?" "To see him, and then to get you out of those wet clothes." Elias stood up and offered her his hand. "I promised you, remember? When I was rich, I promised I'd pay you back." Nia took his hand. "Elias, you just saved my son. We're even." Elias looked at her. The most powerful doctor in the city looked at the waitress with a fierceness that scared her. "No, Nia," he said. "We're just getting started." Marcus woke up an hour later. He blinked, looking at the sterile white ceiling, then at the man standing over him. "Are you an angel?" the boy whispered, his voice raspy from the intubation tube. Elias smiled, a rare, genuine expression that cracked his stoic mask. "No, Marcus. I'm just a friend of your mom's. A very old friend." Nia held her son's hand, weeping silently. She looked at Elias, and in that look, 25 years of distance evaporated. But the reality of the world was waiting outside the hospital doors. "I need to go home," Nia said, wiping her face with the back of her hand. "I need to get his teddy bear. He can't sleep without it. And I have a shift at the diner in 2 hours. If I miss it, I'm fired." Elias looked at her. "You're not going to work, Nia." "I have to," she said, her voice rising in panic. "The rent is due tomorrow. If I don't pay, we're on the street." "Again." "I'm driving you," Elias said. He didn't ask. He commanded. He took off his $2,000 suit jacket and wrapped it around her shoulders again. It engulfed her, smelling of sandalwood and power. "We'll get the bear. We'll deal with the rest." The walk to the parking garage was a parade of stairs. The staff watched in shock as Dr. Thorne, the Ice King, walked beside a woman in a stained waitress uniform, guiding her like she was precious glass. He opened the door of his Maybach for her. Nia hesitated. "I'm dirty," she whispered. "I'll ruin the leather." "It's just a car," Elias said. "Get in." The drive was silent. The city passed by in a blur of rain and neon. Nia sat stiffly, afraid to touch anything. Elias watched her reflection in the glass. She looked exhausted, broken. The girl who had outrun the police for him was now running herself into an early grave just to survive. Rage, cold and sharp, began to build in his chest. "Turn left here," Nia said quietly. The neighborhood changed. The glass towers of downtown gave way to the crumbling brick of the tenements. The streetlights here were broken, trash piled up on the curbs. It looked exactly like the stacks from 25 years ago. Same smell, same hopelessness. Elias tightened his grip on the steering wheel until his knuckles turned white. She hadn't escaped. She was still here. "Stop," Nia said. "It's this one." Elias parked the $250,000 car in front of a building that looked like it should have been condemned in the 90s. The windows were cracked. Graffiti covered the door. He got out before she could protest and walked her to the entrance. There, taped to the peeling pane of the front door, was a bright orange piece of paper. Final eviction notice. Vacate in 24 hours. Elias stared at the paper. He read it twice. "I know," Nia whispered, shame coloring her cheeks. "I was going to pay it. I just needed one more double shift. But then Marcus got sick." "Who is the landlord?" Elias asked. His voice was dangerously quiet. "Mr. Henderson. He owns the whole block. He raised the rent last month. I tried to beg him for more time, but..." Before she could finish, the front door banged open. A man stepped out. He was large, wearing a cheap suit that strained at the buttons, smelling of stale cigars. "Mr. Henderson." He saw Nia and sneered. "Well, look who it is," Henderson barked. "I told you, Nia. No money, no key. I changed the locks an hour ago. Your stuff is in bags on the curb." Nia gasped. She ran to the side of the building. There, sitting in the mud and rain, were 3 black trash bags. Her life, Marcus's toys, her clothes, all of it soaking wet. "You can't do this," Nia screamed, grabbing a wet bag. "My son is in the hospital. His teddy bear is in here." "Not my problem," Henderson spat. "You're bad for business. Get your trash off my sidewalk before I call the cops." Elias stepped forward. He moved with the predatory grace of a shark entering calm water. He stepped between Nia and the landlord. He was 3 inches taller than Henderson, but it wasn't the height that was terrifying. It was the stillness. "Open the door," Elias said. Henderson blinked, noticing the expensive suit for the first time. "Who the hell are you?" "Her pimp." Elias didn't blink. "I'm her lawyer, her doctor, and her banker." "Open the door." Henderson laughed, a wet, ugly sound. "Listen, rich boy, this is my building. She owes me $800. Unless you got cash on you, get lost." Elias reached into his jacket pocket. He pulled out a checkbook. He pulled out a gold fountain pen. He wrote a check, tore it out, and held it up. "Here is $1,000, Elias said, "for the rent." Henderson's eyes lit up. He reached for the check. "That's more like it." Elias pulled the check back. "I'm not finished." He wrote another check, $5,000, for the damage to her property. Henderson looked greedy now. "Hey, look, I didn't mean to." Elias wrote a 3rd check. He didn't show the amount. He just looked at the building, then at the landlord. "How much is this building worth, Henderson?" "The whole rat-infested pile." "Excuse me." "The building," Elias repeated, "and the one next to it, and the one across the street." "How much of the whole block?" Henderson stared at him. "You're crazy. This block ain't for sale." "Everything is for sale," Elias said. "I'll give you $2 million. Right now. Cash transfer. But you hand over the keys, the deeds, and you disappear. If I ever see your face in this city again, I will spend every penny. I have to make sure you spend the rest of your life in a cell for housing code violations. I've seen the black mold in the windows. I know the inspectors." Henderson looked at the checkbook. He looked at the Maybach parked at the curb. He looked at Elias's eyes. He realized this wasn't a bluff. This was an execution. $2 million. Henderson croaked. "You have 10 seconds, Elias said. 10 on. Okay. Henderson fumbled in his pocket. He pulled out a heavy ring of keys. He dropped them into Elias's hand like they were burning hot. "Take it. It's yours. It's a dump anyway." "Leave," Elias said. Henderson ran. He actually ran to his car and sped off, afraid the crazy man in the suit would change his mind. Nia stood in the rain, clutching a wet trash bag, staring at Elias. She was shaking. What did you just do?" Elias turned to her. The anger vanished from his face, replaced by a softness that broke her heart. He held up the keys. "I pay the rent," he said. "You bought the building," she whispered. "Elias, you can't just buy a building because I forgot a teddy bear." "I didn't buy a building, Nia," Elias said, walking over to her and taking the heavy, wet bag from her hands. He threw it into the trunk of the Maybach. "I bought the neighborhood. No one evicts you. Ever again." "This is insane," Nia cried. "I can't accept this. I stole cough syrup for you once. That was $14. This is millions." Elias walked back to her. He took her face in his hands, ignoring the rain soaking his hair, ruining his perfect shoes. He looked into her eyes, the same dark eyes that had watched over him when he was dying. "Do you know what happened after you left?" Elias asked softly. "After you saved me?" Nia shook her head. "I didn't just survive," Elias said. "I lived. I went to school. I fought my way into college. I became the best surgeon in the world. I saved 5,000 lives, Nia. 5,000 people are walking around, breathing, loving their families because of me." He paused, his thumb brushing a raindrop from her cheek. "But I wouldn't be here if you hadn't stolen that bottle. Those 5,000 people wouldn't be alive. Marcus wouldn't be alive. My money, my buildings, my success, it all belongs to you. It's the interest on the loan, Nia, and I'm just getting started paying it back." Nia sobbed, collapsing into his chest. He held her tight, right there on the sidewalk of the slum he now owned. "Let's get the bear," Elias whispered into her hair. "And then we're going home. Not here, to my home. I have a guest room bigger than this apartment. Marcus needs a sterile environment to recover. You are staying with me." "Elias, don't argue with the doctor," he smiled. "Dolphins stick together, right?" Nia nodded against his chest. "Dolphins stick together." They walked into the building. It smelled of mildew and despair. But as Elias climbed the stairs, stepping over broken tiles, he didn't see the filth. He saw the future. He saw Marcus growing up strong. He saw Nia in a dress made of silk, not patches. He saw the end of the loneliness that had eaten him alive for 25 years. He found the teddy bear under the bed. It was old, missing an ear. Elias tucked it under his arm like it was a gold bar. "Let's go," he said. They walked out of the darkness and into the car. As they drove away, leaving the eviction notice fluttering in the rain, Elias made a mental note. Tomorrow, he would call his contractors. He would tear that building down, and in its place, he would build a clinic, a free clinic, and he would name it the Dolphin Center. But first, he had to get the girl he loved out of the rain. The penthouse wasn't silent anymore. For 10 years, it had been a tomb of glass and steel. Now, it smelled of pancakes and pediatric antibiotic syrup. Marcus sat at the $50,000 marble island, swinging his legs, eating breakfast. His cheeks were pink. His breathing was silent. He was alive. Elias stood at the stove, wearing an apron over his dress shirt, flipping eggs. He looked at the boy. He looked at Nia, who was curled up on the sofa wrapped in a blanket, watching the sunrise over Manhattan. For the first time in his life, Elias didn't look at the view and see lonely ambition. He saw a future. 3 weeks had passed since the surgery. Marcus was healing fast. Kids are resilient. But Nia was harder to fix. She still flinched when the elevator opened. She still folded her laundry like she was packing to flee. She was waiting for the dream to end. That evening, after putting Marcus to bed with the one-eared teddy bear, Nia walked into the living room. Elias was standing by the window, holding the 2 blue dolphin charms in his palm. "I need to leave," Nia said softly. Elias turned, surprised. What? Marcus is better. The eviction is handled. But I can't stay here, Elias. I can't live in a palace. I'm a waitress. I don't belong here." Elias walked over to her. He didn't stop until he was close enough to smell her shampoo. "You think this is about charity?" Isn't it? Nia's voice trembled. You feel guilty. You feel like you owe me. I don't want to be your project, Elias. I want to be. She stopped. You want to be what? I want to be seen, she whispered. Not as the girl who saved you, but as me. Elias took her hand. He led her to the wall safe, the one that used to hold his secrets. He opened it. Inside, the stacks of cash were gone. The passports were gone. Instead, there was a single set of blueprints. I didn't just buy your apartment building, Nia, Elias said, spreading the papers on the table. I bought the drugstore on the corner, the one where you stole the medicine. Nia looked at the drawings. It was a building, a beautiful, glass-fronted building in the middle of the slums. What is this? The Dolphin Clinic, Elias said. A free pediatric center. No insurance required. No questions asked. If a kid is sick, they get treated. If they need medicine, they get it. I'm resigning from St. Jude's next month. I'm going to run it. Nia stared at him, mouth open. You're quitting? You're the best surgeon in the city. You make millions. I made millions healing rich people who didn't care about me, Elias said. Now I want to heal the kids who are like we were. But I can't do it alone. He looked at her intensely. I need a partner. Someone who knows the neighborhood. Someone who knows what it's like to be hungry. Someone who isn't afraid to fight for a dying boy. You want me to work for you? No. Elias shook his head. I want you to work with me. Run the foundation. Be the heart of this place. I can fix the bodies, Nia, but you have the soul. Tears spilled down Nia's face. Elias, and Elias added, his voice dropping to a whisper. I don't want you to leave this penthouse, because it was a tomb before you got here. You didn't just save my life 25 years ago. You saved it again 3 weeks ago. You woke me up. He held up the scratched blue dolphin. Dolphins stick together, he said. Nia laughed through her tears. She reached out and touched his face. You crazy fool. You gave up everything. I gained everything, Elias smiled. He kissed her. It wasn't a Hollywood kiss. It was slow, desperate, and felt like coming home after a long Cold War. It tasted of 25 years of missing someone you didn't know was lost. Epilogue. 1 year later, the ribbon-cutting ceremony for the Dolphin Clinic was chaos. Hundreds of people from a neighborhood crowded the street. Kids ran around with balloons. Music blasted. There were no senators, no mayors, just real people. Elias stood on the podium, not in a suit, but in scrubs. Nia stood next to him, wearing a white dress that glowed in the sun. Marcus, fully recovered and running faster than anyone, held the giant scissors. Cut it, Marcus! Nia laughed. Marcus snipped the blue ribbon. The crowd cheered. Elias looked at the building. Above the door, etched in glass, was a picture of a blue dolphin, and below it, the words, in honor of Nia, who taught us that the price of a life is just the courage to care. That night, Elias and Nia put Marcus to bed in the penthouse. They walked out onto the balcony. The city lights sparkled below. Elias wrapped his arms around her. Are we dreaming? Nia asked, leaning into him. Elias touched the charm on his wrist. No, we're awake. Finally. Text on screen, /outro visuals. Video fades to a montage of Elias and Nia working in the clinic, hugging children, laughing. Narrator. Nia stole a $14 bottle of syrup and saved a boy. She didn't know he would become the surgeon who saved her son. Karma doesn't always come in cash. Sometimes it comes in a plastic charm. Elias learned that money fills your pockets, but love fills the empty rooms in your house. He kept his promise. He paid her back, not just with money, but with a life. Today, the Dolphin Clinic has treated 10,000 children. No one pays. No one is turned away. And every child leaves with a blue plastic charm, a reminder that someone cares. If you're watching this and you feel alone, hold on. Your Elias is coming. Your Nia is out there. And if you have something to give, $1, a smile, a bottle of medicine. Give it. You never know whose future you are saving. A dolphin never lets another dolphin drown. Be the charm for someone else today. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Share this story if you believe kindness always comes back. Comment, I believe, if you would have done what Nia did. Thank you for watching.